Hey, what's going on YouTube? Millennial Trader here from the Millennial Trader YouTube channel. Today is February 19th, 2025. In today's episode, we're going to do a crypto market check-in midweek and kind of just go through and talk about what's the next catalyst for the market going forward, as we've been in consolidation for what seems like weeks and months. What's gonna take us to that next level higher, or send us back down and trade lower from current levels. Uh, in today's episode, we're going to take a look at five coins: uh, Bitcoin, of course, Ethereum. We're going to take a look at a meme coin called SHIB. Take a look at a sister coin to Bitcoin, Bitcoin Cash. And then I'm going to come back and do an update on a trade that I've been long for a number of weeks now, Monero, and kind of give you my thoughts on that trade as well. And like usual, if you like the content, subscribe, hit the smash the like button, leave a comment down below in terms of what coins you want me to take a look at for the next video, and let's just go right into it. All right, so when I look at the Bitcoin dominance chart, that's the Bitcoin is the orange line here, and from where we're currently trading, the overall dominance of Bitcoin is 60%. And that's notable because if you look at where we currently are historically, the last time where we were at these levels was back in 2021. So that's notable because, we've effectively come back. We haven't traded at these levels in about 4 years now. So does that potentially represent the initial setup for another leg higher? Or is this the beginning stages of the overall Bitcoin dominance being reduced in the market going forward? At this particular point in time, it's hard to say, and that could be a reflection of just the consolidation that Bitcoin has been in for several weeks now. What's notable is that Ethereum's dominance has, dropped off significantly. We're at 10%, which is still significant considering that it's the number two coin from an overall market cap point of view. But it is notable, and the divergence or the disparity between these two coins is rather large. So, it's interesting to note where we are currently in the overall market, and whether this is going to repeat some of the price action that we've seen back in 2021, in which where the disparity was so large, and it kind of comes back in. That's yet to be seen, but we'll continue to check in on the markets, and we'll trade based on what we see versus what we anticipate. So I'll just kind of leave it at that. I'll quickly take a look at the fear and greed index. This is just from an overall sentiment point of view. And I haven't checked in on this in a number of weeks, but interestingly enough, we're basically trading at the depths of the fear area. So, whether this is the potential, like I said, whether this is another confluence of signals where the Bitcoin dominance starts to tail off and people start getting a little bit more of a risk on appetite, that's yet to be seen. But, we've essentially traded near the lows of the fear area, going back all the way to September 2024. So several months now, but nothing nothing has me hypothesizing that we're gonna shoot straight back up into euphoria. So we might kind of just continue to trade around here and consolidate further, and at some point in time in the future things will turn around. But that's just kind of what I'm seeing currently in the overall greed and fear area. Okay, so let's take a look at Bitcoin right now. Give me a second to fix up my charts. Right, so nothing's changed from an overall market dynamic perspective. We're still trading within this, you know, 90 to $95,000 range, um, and there is definitely a battle going on in this area because, like I mentioned previously, this is going to shape the overall structure of the crypto market going forward. Currently, the edge, and I'll have to say, is still leaning bullish, and credit to the bulls, because we're still in an active. We're in the process of completing a 13 count for that final. I'll call it exhaustion in the market. Currently on a +5 of 13, and yes, as we'll see here, currently we're also in the process of completing a uh, setup -9 count to the downside. So we've just been kind of consolidating for weeks and weeks, and you can see that the the wicks of the candles for the past 6 to 8 weeks has been quite wide, where neither the bulls nor the bears are able to gain any particular traction, favoring either side right now. So it's definitely notable. And like I said, at some point in time, there will be that either final push forward, and we kind of eventually make our way up to this 111 area, which I've potentially noted as our exhaustion area, or we get a catalyst that pushes us finally back down into what I'm anticipating. The next level of support is this 82,351. If we breach this 95,731 level, but for the time being, it's being that level is a notable support area because the bears haven't been able to convincingly push below it, and the bulls haven't been able to get above it in a similar fashion. So my tendency is still to the bulls, because there is still that momentum. There is still that overall market dynamic of people continuing and wanting to continue to position within the space, and as additional products get brought into the market, from the derivative point of view, there is still appetite and there is still demand, for Bitcoin specifically. I can't necessarily say the same thing for many of the altcoins, but we'll take a look at a few in the next chart. So continue to want to lean bullish, so long as we don't close below this 95,731 level. That will continue to act as major support, and if we breach it with follow through, then ideally the next area that I would want to so if we breach below it in a convincing way, then I'll exit my position and wait to reload somewhere in and around this 82,351 level. That's probably where risk reward, it makes sense to get there, but I don't necessarily think we're going to get to that level at any particular point in time in the short term. We'll see how markets kind of shape up going forward. If I take a look at this on the daily, I'm just curious to see if I see anything interesting there. Nothing out of the ordinary. We're still just kind of, let me just take off this Ichimoku because, just look, we've just been in this range between 90 and 100,000 for essentially 3 months. And, it makes sense because after that massive move up, it takes time to digest all of the additional demand to bring on, or at least for the traders to sell or liquidate positions, or long-term holders to sell and liquidate positions and stuff like that. So, it kind of makes sense that we've just been consolidating for the better part of 3 months. But still leaning bullish. But as we'll see in the next chart, my money is still on Ethereum. All right, so Ethereum, again, nothing has changed since the last video. Structurally, though, the chart looks very different from Bitcoin. Definitely, it looks like we are closer to a bottom than we are to a top. So if I look at this chart again, so the DeMark 9 count was perfection here. We bottomed on a 9. At some point in time, this was showing positive momentum, but there was a price flip which resulted from this candle, and ultimately we completed a -9 count here. So does this 9, which happens to have been perfected, meaning that both the close of the close of candle 8 and candle 9 were lower than the close of bar 6, that is one potential indication of an exhaustion point. Not necessarily that it is the full exhaustion, but the fact that we bottomed on a 9 and there wasn't any significant levels for us to say that the trend would continue downward. This is ultimately why we have, this week where we're currently above last week's close. And so long as we continue to move in this direction, then this could potentially be a short-term area of support. 2 weeks ago, this candle down here, it wicked all the way down to this exhaustion level, this qualified exhaustion level, but we were so close to touching it, but never pierced it, which is why, for me, that wasn't necessarily a valid signal to suggest that we're going to continue to go further down. At this point in time, I would actually want to start playing bullish the coin. And as I mentioned previously, I am building a large position in Ethereum because I believe that Ethereum will have relative outperformance to Bitcoin in 2025. And, we're getting closer to this area, which when a cloud has a thin area between two support and resistance lines, if that would be an area potentially that would have an easier path to kind of pierce through and structurally change the overall trend of the particular instrument that we're looking at. So, we're getting closer to this area, especially right here where this cloud twists, and that is potentially the weakest point in the Ichimoku cloud technical analysis, where it would have the best chance of potentially changing overall direction and sentiment. So I'm watching that. I'm watching that from an overall market structure point of view as potentially being this 9 potentially being the bottom. And because there's this cloud twist here, that's also why I'm kind of interested to see whether or not Ethereum can, in fact, push above it and hold, because this um, then it would have a much better chance of being able to hold support and potentially make its way back upward to the potential $4,000 level previously. $4,000 is a notable resistance area going back all the way to 2021, because we've 5 times we've Ethereum has tried to go above it, but it's been unsuccessful in accomplishing that goal. And we've kind of come back down to this $2,700 level. So fundamentally, I believe, like I said, Ethereum is going to do better than Bitcoin in 2025. Because if I look at the two charts here, we've essentially Ethereum has underperformed Bitcoin going back all the way to middle of 2022. So it's been about 3 years. And what's notable at this particular point in time is we bottomed on a -9, which also resulted in the conclusion of or the completion of both -13 signals from sequential and combo. Combo is a sister model to sequential. They essentially measure the same momentum and trend time from a timing mechanism. So the fact that I see two signals here plus an additional 9, and we haven't reached this last candle back at the beginning of February, just gives me a better indication that this may in fact be the bottom for Ethereum's overall weakness in the market. If I put on Ichimoku clouds, nothing other than to say, we could potentially make our way back up and kind of retest this these two disqualified buy signal areas, and that's basically just stop out levels from this 13. It's a calculated stop loss level that was determined by DeMark. It's objective. Once you understand how they're determined, you'll be able to understand, the theoretical aspect of risk management. And then, as we see here, this 13 was generated back here as a potential stop out level. So I'm watching it. I kind of like the setup right now, right here and right now, just because from a risk reward point of view, if I'm wrong, then I'm kind of only risking from a relative strength point of view, I'm kind of just risking 0.01, which I think in dollar terms, if I was to stop out at Ethereum, you're probably looking at a couple $100 at this particular point in time. Yeah, so if I was to, if I started to go long here, max risk, I would probably be okay in terms of being stopped out, is this -9 signal down here, essentially the low, so 25.50. That would be essentially my stop out level if I was to initiate a new position here. So structurally, I'm thinking that we're probably closer to the completion of an exhaustion point in Ethereum versus Bitcoin, and we'll kind of continue to see how the trends play out going forward. Okay, so SHIB or Shiba, it's a coin that I knew about several years ago. There were periods of time where I kind of was in the coin, more so from just like the meme dynamic, and not really uh, not really in it for the long term because I think the white paper for this says that there is no utility in the coin, so it's really just a trading vehicle at this point in time until the founders or the developers say otherwise. What I what I'm noticing about this particular coin right now is, the 13 signal here was very effective at identifying an exhaustion point, and obviously, 4 weeks later, that was the ultimate conclusion of the bullish environment. In which case, we've just been selling off for 9 weeks straight, and you know, I'm I'm looking at this coin and thinking, okay, is this potentially the bottom? We have MACD that's bearish. Yes, we completed a 9 count. What's also interesting is that we are also playing with this propulsion exhaustion level. I can't really make heads or tails of it right here, right now. But if I look at the Ichimoku cloud and I put that indicator on, the one thing that comes out to me is the fact that we're at the conversion line, which is essentially a moving average. The calculation is different than your typical or traditional moving average. It looks at, in this particular case, it looks at the trading history for the 9 prior periods and takes the midpoint of that and just draws it out going forward. So if we happen to hold this level, then that might give me a potential trading idea where we could potentially get back up to this 1730 level. Beyond that, I would say we're probably going to have difficulty getting above this area right here where the cloud is. And then if we get into this cloud, we have just this whole area that just represents uncertainty. And I don't necessarily think we're going to be in a position to play in that area, or at least I wouldn't want to. So we'll see. We might even get down to this. Ideally, I would probably want maybe 1 to 2 more weeks of confirmation before I'm willing to put on a trade. But structurally, I don't, like I said, I don't think this is any kind of coin that you want to hold for long term because there is no utility in it. It's literally, I would say you're really just banking on the volatility of the coin and short term trades, if anything. So for me, right here, right now, I'm not necessarily interested. I do like the potential setup though, but we have a lot of area to cover. For me to want to be long this coin for any longer period of time. So I would stay away from this coin for the time being. It just structurally it doesn't look good. Um, Tactically you're really just trading off of this 9, and so long as you continue to hold above, say, the low here of point of 1164. I mean, that's still from in a percentage point of view, that's a wide stop out level. So I there's nothing here tactically that I'd want to um, do right now. I would just kind of just watch it. Essentially, we've just been trading in a wide range, and we'll see if this level actually holds or not. Okay, so this is Bitcoin Cash. Again, fundamentally, the structure is very different than Bitcoin, and what's what's notable is that this coin also recently bottomed on a -9 count, similar to Shiba, and also potentially similar to Ethereum if we go back here to this chart. So it's notable that several of these coins are kind of shaping up in a similar way. I can't really make heads or tails of whether I want to be in Bitcoin Cash at the moment. Potentially, I like this 309 level. And so long as we continue to hold above that, that's probably where I would want to. Again, if I was going to enter this coin long, that's probably the only area where I would want to potentially put the trade on, because I don't necessarily have a stop out level anywhere remotely close. I'm potentially risking at $80 if I was to hold the coin down to this 230 level. Again, it's a tough call to make at this point in time, especially if you're not necessarily an active trader or an aggressive trader on a daily basis. You're just looking for trades that you can kind of hold for a number of weeks. I don't necessarily think this is the right. This is a potential coin for you to do that. Yeah, if I'm looking at this on the daily, the fact that for months, Bitcoin Cash has been trading underneath the conversion line, which is basically the midpoint of the previous 9 trading days, and we're looking at this on a daily time frame. So structurally, it doesn't look like a bullish environment. The one thing that I mentioned that's also showing up here on the daily is the fact that we've bottomed on a -9. We've kind of pierced through it, but we're kind of just still, we pierced through it and then came back down. Whether this level holds for the next couple of days, we'll see. But my guess is we're gonna continue to retest this, potentially this low back here, somewhere around 309, which is, again, like I said, that's potentially where I would want to step in from a long point of view, because risk reward, if I'm wrong, then I'll stop myself out pretty quickly under this 286 level. So I'm risking, less than $20 if I'm wrong. And, if I'm right, then, potentially I would play for up to this, up to the current trading conversion line. And that's like a 70-point move there. So tactically, I would probably wait. It doesn't look appealing to me. Structurally, the chart has just been consolidating, similar to Bitcoin. But obviously, we're trading near the lows compared to Bitcoin, whereas Bitcoin is, within $10,000 of all-time highs. I would move on. All right, last but not least is Monero. Okay, so several weeks ago, I mentioned that I bought a position in Monero, willing to hold for, I would say, the majority of February. And so far, the trade has worked out. I'm initially trading, or at least potentially looking to take profits at this 244.91 level, because that is the propulsion exhaustion level to the upside. Essentially, that's potentially a hidden level of resistance for this particular coin based upon the thrust of the market as calculated from this week's candle right here. I won't necessarily get too much into the actual details, but just know that this represents a hidden level of resistance that, should we complete the count to a 9, that's where I'm anticipating will essentially pause in the market. And I'm comfortable taking the profits at that point in time because I have relatively decent gain. I think I got in early February. I got in around like the $200 level. So for me, I'm up on the position. It's not a significant position. I'm just using it. Really, it's just a tactical trade for me, and that 244 level is a reasonable area for me to kind of take profits. And I'll evaluate my position at that point in time. But I don't think we'll get beyond that because we are also in the process of completing a 13 countdown 13, and in potentially 3 more weeks that'll be a 9. So I think that'll be the extent of the move for Monero, and that'll be it. So that's about it for this week. I just wanted to do a midweek check-in. There's not really much that's happening in the Bitcoin space. We continue to consolidate, and the range is definitely starting to get smaller and smaller. So, it could be in the next couple of weeks where we ultimately get some kind of fundamental news or macroeconomic news that pushes us one way or the other. And I think once that event occurs, that will either effectively represent the top in the market, which would have been confirmed back here, or that allows us to continue the trend upwards and continue this active +5 countdown signal to potentially this 111 area, which I think is ultimately the topping point for Bitcoin for 2025. So I remain tactically bullish Bitcoin. I continue to accumulate a position in Ethereum. I would stay away from a lot of these altcoins because, as we've just seen in Shiba and Bitcoin Cash, structurally and fundamentally, the coins haven't performed well. And I plan to take profits in Monero once we get to that 244 level sometime towards the end of February. So that's it for me. I just wanted to give everybody a quick check-in, let people know kind of what I'm seeing in the market. It's still a bullish environment. You want to stay with the majors, which the Bitcoin, Ethereum, Ripple. I'm kind of hesitant on Solana. Structurally, the chart doesn't favor continuation to the upside, and a lot of these altcoins, they're not doing well. So remain tactical. Manage your positions, and we'll see you in the next video in a couple of days. Thanks a lot for checking this out. If you liked the video, subscribe, hit the like button, comment below, tell me what you liked, what you didn't like, tell me what coins you're in, and I'll see you in the next one. Millennial Trader out.